Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here. What a way to kick off SummerSlam 2018, coming to you live from Barclays Center. The end of an era, more than likely the last SummerSlam held in Barclays up there in Brooklyn, New York City. They've done a really good job hosting SummerSlam with NXT and everything else that SummerSlam has grown into. They've sort of moved SummerSlam into being one of the big events of the summer, that becoming the new WrestleMania. We got one hell of a match to kick off this year's SummerSlam with basically Seth Rollins winning his Intercontinental Championship back in a match against Dolph Ziggler in the weeks leading towards SummerSlam. We basically we're just seeing the advantage just built up against Rollins, just Ziggler, as well as Ambrose. Basically, I'm sorry, I'm watching Ambrose right now, waiting for him to attack Rollins. It honestly looks like it's about to happen because Ambrose keeps standing behind him, and basically the direction I think that this is going to be going. But no, he didn't do it, and it went to black. I'm surprised. But Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler basically kept on attacking Rollins. He basically tried to take him on in a 2-on-1, and it wasn't able to work out in his advantage. So Dean Ambrose came back to even the odds. And this match basically was built up around the anticipation of Drew McIntyre and Dean Ambrose getting involved in the match. It took basically a moment when Seth Rollins was going to hit the curb stomp on Dolph Ziggler, and they took that moment to basically attack Dean Ambrose. Drew McIntyre took him out on the outside, and because of that fact, he was distracted and was not able to hit the move and lost it. It was a back and forth, very, very good match. In this match, like we said, Rollins was able to get the victory here. I'm guessing that more than likely we're going to see this involved in a tag match on Monday Night Raw tomorrow. I was thinking that this was going to lead to Rollins versus Ambrose, so maybe they're just trying to get that Shield reunion that we were looking forward to seeing over the winter last year from Survivor Series to TLC before WrestleMania. That didn't happen because of injury, so we'll see what happens, but Seth Rollins holds the IC belt. Alright, as I sat down to watch WWE SummerSlam 2018, I basically was strolling around the internet looking at all the internet rumors that were out there as of today. Every time there's a big WWE pay-per-view, there's always big stories coming out, headlines, grabbing your attentions, wanting people to head on over to certain sites and basically see what they think is going to happen. And there was a headline: Nikki Bella versus Ronda Rousey to headline WWE Evolution 2018. I was very surprised. I was honestly surprised to the point where I thought there was no way in the world that this match was going to happen. And in between the first and second match of the night, after the Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler match going into the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers, we have an interview with the Bellas, who were in town to basically do some meet and greet type of things. New York, up in Brooklyn, they don't really run Access like they did in Los Angeles. They just have meet and greets basically spread all over the city, whether if it's at Amazon centers, Toys R Us. Well, they don't have those anymore, but you get what I'm saying. Just different places around. You could go there to sort of thank all of the WWE sponsors that help them out throughout the year. But during that interview, they were asked if they were going to be making their return at Evolution. Both of them said that they were, focusing on Total Bellas and Total Divas, as well as Birdie B and their YouTube channel. But Nikki Bella did say that she is thinking about making her return. Doesn't know if it's going to be at Evolution, but tonight she's at SummerSlam to have fun. She is going to be sitting front row to watch the Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss match. That is one more thing to be thinking about. Definitely in everyone's mind. we all think it's a slam dunk that Ronda Rousey is going to be winning the WWE Women's Championship for Monday Night Raw tonight. But after the announcement of Alexa Bliss versus Trish Stratus, my mind immediately went to, why would they make that match? Why would they promote it so soon if Alexa Bliss was not going to be the women's champion? WWE did release that information yesterday. They did publicly tweet it out. They, in the tweets, did call Alexa Bliss the Raw Women's Champion, as she is right now. But that just makes me wonder, when is something coming for Ronda Rousey not to win tonight? A lot of people thought that Ronda was going to win at Money in the Bank against Nia Jax, but Alexa Bliss took that moment to cause the disqualification and then cash in and win the Women's Championship at Money in the Bank. So is something like that going to happen tonight, where due to the disqualification, Alexa Bliss might lose the match, but she keeps her championship to escape to fight Trish Stratus in October? That's setting up Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella. A lot of people thought that Nikki Bella got one hell of a rub in WWE because of her relationship with John Cena. I thought that they were still together, but I thought they broke up for the show. Now it looks like they might really be broken up. I still feel sometimes like I might be getting worked. But I think if they were together, I think it would be more of a story of people trying to find them together, take pictures of them, get them up on the internet. Not only valuable to WWE people on Twitter, but that would be valuable information for TMZ and other information, other sort of news blogs and celebrity finders and things like that. So maybe this really is a thing. I thought that it would be better to have Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey as the main event. I know that some people thought that might be the actual main event of WrestleMania, but for an Evolution pay-per-view of pushing the best women in the company, that to me makes a lot more sense than Nikki Bella, who she fought in the Royal Rumble, hasn't had a match since WrestleMania 33 in Orlando, when they did the whole proposal gimmick with the Miz, Maurice, and John Cena. Is she really main event material? I don't really think she is. But then again, I sort of think that when this Evolution pay-per-view comes around, we're all going to watch it. But because of the way WWE is shoving this down our throat, even though it's not till October, they're treating it like a WrestleMania, mentioning it on every show, every Raw, every SmackDown, every pay-per-view. Something's happening. So by the time it comes around, people might not even care anyways. Second match of WWE SummerSlam 2018, the Bludgeon Brothers going up against the New Day, and the New Day was handing it to him. New Day was bringing a fight to the table, and a disqualification ends this one. I really thought the New Day was going to take it. I thought that WWE had to change a lot of booking ideas with basically Kane's injury at the last pay-per-view. I thought that that was all built around Team Hell No taking the tag titles, which would lead into SummerSlam, them having a big match. But Kane hurt the ankle, was not able to wrestle. Daniel Bryan ended up basically going in on it 2-on-1, was not able to beat the Bludgeon Brothers, and they continued their tag titles on a little bit longer of a run. Now here we are. It doesn't make a lot of sense for the Bludgeon Brothers to keep the title. Rowan and Eric Harper, during their Wyatt days back around WrestleMania 30, they were a good team, and I really thought that they were over. Now they're just these cartoon gimmicks of themselves carrying these mallets. Basically, Rowan took to the ring, took a mallet to all members of the New Day, taking them out. They knew that this was a fight they were not going to be able to win. Took the DQ, and we'll see where we go the next pay-per-view down the road. Probably look for New Day to getting a shot at the championships again, and continue the feud one more month. Wow, what do you guys know? One move from Kevin Owens. As best put by Corey Graves, Kevin Owens is a former Universal Champion. He's a former Intercontinental Champion. He's a former United States Champion. He's a former tag title holder inside of WWE. And he hit one move on Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is back in charge of the Money in the Bank briefcase. He has basically put Roman Reigns and or Brock Lesnar on notice that he has the Money in the Bank briefcase, and anybody involved in that main event better watch out. Braun Strowman might as well be perfect heading into that main event. We've seen that briefcase cashed in to make a singles match a triple threat. We've seen that briefcase used after the match is already done. And at any time before the Roman Reigns match, Braun Strowman could cash that in as long as he knows that Brock Lesnar is in the building. So as of right now, even though that match was so short, Braun Strowman's night is not over. And we got to sit here in suspense waiting to see him cash that thing in, because I have no doubt it's coming tonight. The match is over, and we have the show of respect between Charlotte and Becky Lynch. Best friends coming into this, knowing that there was going to be a war, because both of them want to be the one that holds the SmackDown Women's Championship. But Carmella came in as the champion today. Walking out of SummerSlam, we're going to have Charlotte Flair, your 7-time women's champion, atop of the SmackDown brand. To me, this makes a lot of sense. I think that somewhere down the road, Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair need to battle for that. Oh, she smacked the shit out of her. Becky Lynch just laid it into Charlotte. We have now a heel turn from Becky Lynch. I was looking for this for the Ambrose and Seth Rollins ordeal, but wow. The live looking as we see her beat the crap out of her. That's what I'm talking about. What a wow. Wowzer. That was cool. Charlotte Flair wins the belt, but it looks like now we're finally going to see Becky Lynch versus Charlotte. I know that we've seen this. I don't think it's been a pay-per-view battle, but they've had fights on SmackDown. They've had fights on Raw. I even think that Becky Lynch has the advantage. I think the last time they had their match, it was 4 wins to 3, or maybe 3 wins to 2, and Becky was on top. But we see Becky Lynch taking it to Charlotte Flair. Wow! Carmella walked out of there a little too early. She was very disgruntled that she lost her championship, but Carmella definitely will find a way to get back into that championship picture. But tonight, we are all going to remember SummerSlam 2018 as the night that Becky Lynch turned heel on Charlotte Flair. Man, another major WWE pay-per-view with a major match for a championship that ends in a disqualification. You gotta be kidding me. I really thought that AJ versus Samoa Joe was a really good match, and the whole thing of adding in AJ's family, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it did add into the match, and I was really thinking this was a match that AJ Styles was going to lose the WWE Championship, but instead this match ended in a DQ. AJ Styles loses the match, but he keeps the championship. Samoa Joe's whole thing of trying to turn Wendy against AJ Styles, trying to basically say that, she doesn't appreciate AJ. He wants to be a wrestler more than he wants to be a father and a husband. The whole thing just, I don't get it, but I thought that basically it was just going to push AJ to the point where he made that mistake, trying to make Samoa Joe pay, and Samoa Joe would get the win and walk out as the champion. Samoa Joe actually took a moment during the match to climb up on top of the announcer's table and call out Wendy, basically saying that Daddy was coming home. Shout out to Luke Cara for basically giving the idea of WWE Shop coming out with an Eddie Guerrero style t-shirt of I'm your daddy instead of I'm your poppy from back in the day. That's a license to print money right there, WWE. You need to take that idea from Luke, and you need to have that t-shirt printed up now and have Samoa Joe wearing that on SmackDown on Tuesday, because that's That's easily the best idea I can think of. But Joe's pissed. Obviously, we're going to get another matchup. But when the title doesn't change hands in the first match, I tend to start to lose my patience with the feud, and it starts to sort of slip away. You would think that WWE would have learned from Nakamura versus Styles at WrestleMania and at the World's Greatest Royal Rumble, that you can only do this so many times before we start to snooze off. And what do you know? The Miz defeats Daniel Bryan in the so-called main event of SummerSlam 2018. Probably one of the matches that most people were most excited more than anything else. This was a really good match. In my mind, this was probably at least a 20-minute match. It took up a lot of time. I thought that they were sort of telegraphing what was going to happen before Miz made his way down to the ring. Maurice was sitting ringside with the new baby in the stroller, but Maurice was not holding the baby. The baby was in the stroller. And I really thought that something was going to come out of that stroller. In the end, it ended up being that Maurice handed Miz something from inside of her bra. Basically, they said she reached into her jacket, but it looked like she reached all the way into her shirt, pulled something out, handed it to Miz, who was dangling over the outside for getting his ass kicked, and went back and delivered a knockout punch to Daniel Bryan before rolling him up for the 1-2-3. We'll never know what it was that knocked out Daniel Bryan, because Miz handed it back to Maurice, who immediately made a beeline straight for backstage. So unless this is some sort of a storyline that'll play out on Tuesday on SmackDown, this is just going to have to play into the rematch. No doubt in my mind, this is probably going to be a feud that lasts over 3 months, going to Hell in the Cell, and then to whatever the feud is, or the name of the pay-per-view after that. They tore it up. They had one hell of a match. It was definitely something that I'm glad that we waited for. They billed it as 8 years in the making. I can honestly say that I think it was more like 1 or maybe 2 whenever that, Talking Smack segment picked up. And, Daniel Bryan was the GM of SmackDown and pushing towards, trying to come back, and then finally coming back at WrestleMania. It just seemed to be that he fit right into the whole Shane McMahon tag thing, but SummerSlam paid off. This was the match that I can probably say that I cared about more than anything else. I want to see what happens at the end, but I'm happy enough, even if Daniel Bryan didn't get the win, that Daniel Bryan had one hell of a match at SummerSlam after coming back from that major injury. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here as we continue on with WWE SummerSlam 2018. We had Baron Corbin came out, the Constable, and as he made his way down to the ring, he was greeted by the Demon, making his return. Last time we saw him, I believe, was at Survivor Series. Last time we saw him was the time that he was supposed to fight Bray Wyatt, but was replaced by AJ Styles. I can't even remember what pay-per-view that was, but at Survivor Series, AJ Styles took on Brock Lesnar after he beat Jinder Mahal for the WWE Championship on SmackDown. So I'm not sure. It's been a long damn time since we saw the Demon, and it's been a long damn time since, Finn Balor was involved in a match that meant anything. It's been 2 years since he won the Universal Championship. He's never got a shot at the title again. I know that Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar would have been a match that would have got a lot of people excited in WWE to see what is going down. But, instead we pretty much got Finn Balor as the Demon going up against Val Venis. This is a match that didn't mean anything. This match meant just about as much as, the Mike Tyson fight versus Buster Douglas was supposed to mean if Tyson just would have done his job and knocked out Buster Douglas in the first 45 seconds. Just like the Braun Strowman match earlier on in the night, we saw Finn Balor get the win. Basically, Baron Corbin got no offense in. Finn Balor finished the match off perfect. To me, honestly, his body paint looked really cool. The face paint looked a lot like the early days of Demolition. If you go back before they really figured out how to get the paint looking really cool, basically in the early days, they were just throwing it on, and there was a lot of red in there. That's made me think of Demolition there. But Baron Corbin takes the loss. Finn Balor gets the win. I bet you money that when it comes down to being on Monday, I bet this match means nothing. And that's the part that gets me upset, is Finn Balor is one of the reasons why I keep watching wrestling, that I believe he is the future of wrestling, and WWE doesn't want to pay off on that. Ronda Rousey kicked the shit out of Alexa Bliss. A third nearly perfect match by Ronda Rousey here on SummerSlam 2018, as she came in and dominated Alexa Bliss. She came in and taunted Alexa Bliss, coming in, giving up her back to Alexa, basically challenging her to bring a fight to her. And basically Alexa was able to get in a little bit of offense, but was never able to actually have control of the match. Ronda Rousey had complete control the whole time. I kept looking for Alexa Bliss to sort of do that trick with her arm, where she's done it twice, where it's like double jointed and pops out. I thought of them doing something like that with the arm bar. I thought about them doing something with Nikki Bella. I was honestly thinking about something for Natalya. But SummerSlam ends with just a feel-good moment of Ronda Rousey winning the Raw Women's Championship. She was greeted by Natalya. Waited for that turn, didn't happen. She was greeted by the Bellas. Waited for that turn, didn't happen. And then she got out of the ring, and as she said, she ran up and jumped into her man. She celebrated on the outside. It was like she really couldn't believe this. The only thing that I hope that her career in WWE lasts, honestly, for a long time, where we get that sort of feel-good interview where they look back at this match and she says, "What the hell was I thinking with that eyeshadow?" I have no clue what was going on with that. That's probably the one thing that I remember most about this match more than anything. But the Ronda Rousey era in WWE has started. No doubt that more than likely ESPN SportsCenter already running highlights of Ronda winning the championship. She no doubt is the biggest name in WWE, right there with Brock Lesnar. And it's a feel-good moment that she's won the big one. She is a wrestling fan. She's been a fan of WWE. She's been a fan of PWG. She has not hidden that at all throughout UFC. And she made the jump. She put the work in, and she's at the top of the mountain now. What an end to a classic SummerSlam 2018. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns in the main event. The big dog finally does it. I guess you can say that WWE has been waiting 3 years for Brock Lesnar to defeat the Beast. Why they didn't do it at WrestleMania 32, I don't know. But, we went to WrestleMania in Orlando, and it didn't, no, it wasn't Orlando. It was the WrestleMania in New Orleans. Didn't happen. They go to Saudi Arabia. Didn't happen. But for some reason, they show up in Brooklyn, and this match was as short as can be. Let's just get this out there. I think that WWE, honestly, they had a plan to make people cheer for Roman Reigns, and they wanted them to boo Brock Lesnar. They wanted them to get to the point where they wanted to have a Universal Champion who was going to show up on the Monday Night Raw, show up on pay-per-views, basically be anywhere he was needed to be other than when he is injured. This last 500 days or so of Brock carrying that belt around, only defending it 10 times, I think, was getting old. Everything happened to plan. The match was as short as can be. Off the top of my head, I think it was 2, 3, 4 minutes tops. I mean, there was really no wrestling involved in it. We saw a few spears, some punches, guys throwing each other around. This was not no technical thing, not no Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart from SummerSlam 1991. This was just an ass whooping. Basically, Braun Strowman came down after both introductions. Braun said that he was going to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase once this match is over. He was not going to attack anybody in the back. He was going to tell them right in their eyes. I thought that, honestly, that meant he was going to cash in and make this a three-way right off the bat. But he said that he was going to wait until the match was over, which sort of makes me wonder. That sort of makes me think that you're attacking somebody from behind. If you're going to wait till somebody already kicks this guy's ass before you try to join in and see if you can win the championship, doesn't really mean that you put up a fair fight here. But as the match was going on, Brock Lesnar was able to take out Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman at the same time. And as Braun was knocked down, Brock took the fight to Braun, basically thinking that if this guy's wiped out, when the match is over, he's not going to be able to be cashed in. One of the smartest things that Brock's ever done in WWE was pick up the briefcase and actually chuck it. And then once they got back in the ring, Roman hit the spear in the 1, 2, 3, and it was over. Roman won the belt, and the whole time I'm trying to explain to my buddy out there that this match is over, but the match is about to start up again, that Braun's about to get in the ring. Braun just never got back up and never got into the ring. So Roman's going to be the champ. He's going to show up on Raw. I know that you need to have a main event for a pay-per-view, but if you want to have something that has people talking about it and you want to give a big exclamation point of a thank you to Brooklyn for the last 4 years of fans showing up for NXT, for SummerSlam, for Monday Night Raw, and now for SmackDown, you give them Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns to open up Monday Night Raw. You got Monday Night Football coming up. You need to show these people that you are committed to basically giving big matches that you don't want to miss. And you come right out of the gate with Braun Strowman cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase. Not waiting until the main event. Right there, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock. No tweets all day long. Just a flat-out surprise. You want to give a reward to the people that watch the show week in and week out, no matter what is going on. You got Monday Night Football coming up in a few weeks. It's going to be your biggest competition. You got to give people a reason to say, I want to watch Raw every week. So Roman walks out with the belt. Braun still with the Money in the Bank. And Brock's packing his bags and heading for UFC.